Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. I, 22 male, am an only child to E, 42 female. My mother and I have never had an easy relationship. My father, B, 49 male, and my mother were never married, and only stayed together until I was around 8 years old. My mother is Portuguese and my father is black and grew up in the hood. Thus, my mother's family didn't take kindly to him. Once they broke up, my mom moved into a house that was broken into apartments, where my aunt and her sister, M, 38 female, and my cousins lived in the lower level apartment. My father ended up dipping out of my life when I was 16, and I have little contact with him because of his inappropriate behavior, but that's a different story. It was clear growing up that I was the black sheep of the family due to the fact that I'm my father's spitting image. I have his face, nappy hair, and matched his darker complexion. My mom's side of the family hated my father. They favored my cousin, who looked like a white Portuguese boy. It has affected my growth a lot, and I was in a really shitty place. My relationship with my mom only grew more disdainful and strained, so I decided to move out. My father was MIA, so I went to a friend of mine from high school and he let me move into the frat house he lived in. In that time, I had grown to love myself despite my flaws and baggage, but only due to the help of my now fiancé, L, 22 female. L and I met through her ex-boyfriend, who happened to be the friend I moved in with. Long story short, they broke up and me and L started dating. Soon after, I met L's mom, and she's a loving and wacky woman who gave us the okay for me to move in with the two of them. L's mom has become a second mother to me, and I adore the two of them. It's the healthiest relationship dynamic I've ever had. Elle and I had a quick growing relationship and have been talking about buying our own home. This is where things get complicated. Due to both my mom and aunt working at my current university, it wasn't like I could avoid seeing them. My relationship with my aunt is better than the one with my mom, but still wasn't the greatest because of her passive aggressiveness. During the transition with moving in with Elle and her mom, I was talking to my uncle, M's husband, about getting a cheap car to make the new hour commute to school I was making. My aunt M suggested I ask my mother for the money my grandparents had been giving her. I asked her what she was talking about. My grandparents, my mom and aunt's parents, had lived in Portugal all their lives. Before my grandmother died, she and my grandfather were sending my mother money to save in an account for me for college and an apartment. They sent her over $60,000 to give to me. I told my aunt that none of this has ever been mentioned to me. She suggested I speak to my father as he knew about the savings. I called him and he confirmed what my aunt said. He told me that the checks were made out to me, but because I was a minor, my mom was able to deposit the money into her account. She even lied to him and said that she made a separate savings account for me for the money. Elle's mom was fuming when I told her. How could a mother steal from her parents? Technically, stealing from her own son. Elle has had issues with my parents, as they have both been disrespectful towards her and dismissive of our relationship. So this was icing on top of the cake for her. I don't know what to do. My mother has never been there for me and was neglectful beyond belief for my whole life. She lied to me saying I had to go to the shit university she works for because she couldn't afford it. So am I the a-hole for wanting to sue my mother? Update. For those that are new, long story short, my mom stole money from my grandparents and me. They sent her money to put in a savings account for me. I went to her house to confront her, and just before I was about to, she announced to me that she was moving closer to the shore. She apparently bought one of those sister homes with one of her friends. She was constantly complaining she didn't have much money before this. I blew up on her and demanded she tell me the truth about how she bought this house. She pretended not to know what I was talking about and started cursing me out, calling me an a-hole, and said I should be happy for her that she could do this for herself. I blew up at her. I told her how my aunt and father confirmed what I was saying, calling her a shit mother. How could she literally drain money from her own parents? How could she take money that was meant for me to start my life? Before I walked out, I screamed that I was going to sue her. She didn't say a word as I slammed the door behind me. Even writing this, I'm fuming. I cannot believe her. Last update. So, it's been about a year since everything with my mother happened. Elle and her mom have been supporting me through dealing with this mentally and emotionally. Thank God. I was brewing on what to do legality-wise if there really was any way I could sue her to begin with. But around 6 months ago, I got a message from my mom saying that she has about $30,000 she can give to me in cash. I met up with her and it was true. She took $30,000 out of whatever she was going to use to pay the mortgage on the new house. She tried apologizing and said she was going to continue paying me until the amount my grandparents sent was in my hands. Since then, I've gotten another $15,000 from her and Elle and I have started house hunting. My aunt has said my mom is selling her stuff to get the money to me faster, but I just said, cool. I still have extremely little contact with her because I still can't forgive her for all she's done. I'm glad your mom was decent enough to give you half the money and continue paying up, OP. I think you threatening to sue her helped too. What she did was wrong. You're not the a-hole for wanting to sue her or going through with it if she hadn't paid up. She took from you, the money belongs to you, and she had no right to spend it or use it to buy a house while you struggled in college. About forgiving her, I hope you can find a way too, after she's returned all your money and apologized. I wish you good luck in everything else, OP. Story 2. I'm a college student. Being 21, I also need to list her on my FAFSA, financial aid for those who don't know. I typically get a couple $1,000s in grants to pay for school. However, I need my mother to do her taxes. I'm still trying to get aid for the current school year, fall 2016 and spring 2017. All my paperwork is turned into my school. The only thing I have left is for her to do her taxes for tax year 2015. Not to make excuses, but she's always terrible when it comes to paperwork or anything with money. I love the lady, but getting her to do stuff like this is painful. She constantly lies about having done stuff until called out on it, then gets angry and yells till you walk away. Anyways, she said she needed to get a school payment information for 2015. She went to local community college. She said she can't get into the CC account, which is similar to the one I use at my school to get my 1098T tuition tax form. She claimed to call them in mid-December after harassing her for weeks about it. It's in the mail, I was told. It's still not here and she dodges any attempt to talk about it. Today, I decided to try and log into her account myself. I was told she didn't know the username or password. It took me less than 10 minutes to figure out how to reset the password. All I needed was the last 4 of a social and birthday. She claimed they deactivated it because she didn't enroll in the latest semesters. She stopped after 1 semester, fall 2014. Bullshit. Also, I found the tax forms needed. Clearly, she made no attempt to log in and check. And I'm sure the school would have told her to just do this instead if she had called. But she chose to lie to me. Am I the a-hole for going to her account like this? I needed to do her taxes for my FAFSA, but I know this is going to cause a huge argument with her either way, though it would be best to hear an outside opinion about this. For example, when I needed my permit, she delayed it and argued for 8 months until she finally gave up, arguing the entire time because she needed a marriage certificate. Different last name than on my birth certificate now. She pushed the whole way about the long drive, 30 minutes max, to the other town hall. When paying driver's ed, it was agreed that she and my grandmother would split it 50-50 as a birthday and Christmas present. My grandmother paid it up front before classes started. My mom paid me half what she was supposed to after a couple months of being bugged. I ended up giving up and paying the rest. Birth certificate was a pain to get when I started my current job. I was 17 and needed her to get a copy from City Hall. That took forever as well. Ended up having my grandmother hold all my important paperwork, so it isn't lost and is available when needed. She keeps a file for me and my siblings. I would keep my own, but I live with my mother. She can't afford school and an apartment. In school, I always just had my grandmother sign for her. I would later tell her about the important stuff, but gave up trying to get her to do paperwork unless absolutely required. This turned into more of me complaining, but the point's there. It isn't the first time this has happened. Like I said, I love her, but she cannot do paperwork ever. Edit. Also, I'm considering just doing her taxes for her. I have the W-2 and could go ahead with it. Asshole move? Edit 2. Thinking about it now, it might have been best to suggest we try it and do it with her. Might go about that method tonight instead of saying I just logged in myself. That way she doesn't know I actually logged in without talking to her about it first. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your mom sounds impossible, and I can understand you're fed up with her giving you excuses when it comes to something that has to do with your education. It's very important and time-sensitive, but you are right. Suggesting you two try together would prevent any argument that might occur when she does find out you did it behind her back. Every time you need this, keep asking her to tag along. Eventually, I'm sure she'll ask you to just do it. Now for some comments. She does sound extremely difficult. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. Maybe you could flat out tell her you will be doing taxes, paperwork, etc. by this date unless she does it. Then you have to let her know and give her a chance to do it. And unless she objects, take care of what you can on your own. Go live with grandmother. Have her adopt you in whatever way is meaningful for student loans. Or live with your mother but have your grandmother be your parent as regards paperwork. At the very least, perhaps grandmother can come visit and in a friendly way ask how things are going and you can all figure it out together. I don't think you are an a-hole. Maybe pushing some boundaries. Have you tried talking to her about why she doesn't want to help you? Not why haven't you done your taxes, but really ask her why she doesn't want to help you. If you can find out why she's refusing and dodging you, maybe you can work on that instead of all these other things. She sounds really difficult to talk to, so maybe being more direct about how her actions are affecting you will help.